fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got rid of the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up top!
Oh my god! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get involved!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, here we go! Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Good evening and welcome to our second of two nights at Watkins Glen International in Aussie car competition. Last night it was a TCRs. Today it is the Skip Barbers, and it is almost a glorified oval today. We're running the Classic Cup layout, which does not feature the bus stop, it does not feature the boot, and it is high speed, and times today are going to be almost inseparable. My name is Ryan Jones. Alongside me, David Haynes. Good to have you with me again, David. Yeah, this one, as I mentioned, it's almost like an oval. Draft today is going to be very powerful.
Yeah, the style of racing is going a lot back to what we had at Phillip Island in Season 1. Of course, all of our tracks for Season 2 in the USA. That's the little trip we're on. But as you mentioned, you know, the draft, the slipstream, always powerful in these Skip Barbers. But when you've got no boot, no bus stop, it is a huge flat-out run from Turn 1 all the way around to the outer loop, the carousel, up the hill as well. So where you are positioned on the final lap going to be so critical.
Let's talk about lap one then. Cameron Dance will start on the pole. Christopher Williams will start alongside him. John Schultz and Russell Clark are on row 2. Matt Marsh and Robert Cook share the third row of the grid ahead of Alex McKellar and Aidan Coote, Angus Cook and Matty Jones, 9th and 10th.
Over in 11th, Matthew Mites is sharing row 6 with Tony Clark. Then we've got Dean Williams and Braden Martin. Justin Howe in 15th. Kevin Henderson in 16th. Aaron Dillon in 17th place with Nathan Verney alongside him. And it's Russell Marsh and Vic Bentveltson on row 10.
We've got a 38 car field for this one. Might just be our biggest ever in the series. Julian Mookie, Peter Wilkinson on row 11. Ahead of Ara Feldberg and Dwayne Priest. Jamie Davis and Michael Chavaris on 25th and 26th. And Dennis Hancock and Jeremy Bush, Leon Williams and Philip Howe run out your top 30.
And to bring home the remainder of the field is Isaac Summers, David Summers for an All Summers 16, Dean Olvins, Matthew Hodson, Gary Wellman, Matthew Joy, Gordon Smith, and the last driver, Connor Brown.
Weather conditions for these drivers, it's going to be 10 laps today for our first race. Track temp 26 degrees, so pretty cool for these guys. Shouldn't be too much of an issue. Remember, we get 2 races in these rounds, a sprint race and then a feature race, which is just shy of double the length and features a mandatory stop for a minimum of 2 tyres. But this first race is a straight sprint from start to finish. 10 laps or 15 minutes, whichever comes first, should be the 10 laps. It's a minute 24 lap times around this track. So let's get this first one underway. The run to turn 1 and the flat out to turn 5. Who gets it done better as the green flag comes out and we are underway. Slowly now we're moving. And again, the starts in these series are generally pretty even. Pretty easy to get these cars away and actually pretty hard to bog it down, isn't it, David?
I think it's very tough to get some wheel spin. It's possible sometimes to bog it down with the tall first gear, but there's already one driver facing the wrong way in the background. It's 111 driver, and someone has... there's 2 cars tangled together there as well on the inside of the 90. So Isaac Summers, one of our Summers, not getting away very well.
Oh, that was wheel-to-wheel contact through the S's, and straight through the middle of them is going to go Aidan Coote, and following him is Angus Cook. Robert Cook's on the outside, and it's a little bit messy down to the carousel, and there's the inevitable contact. Robert Cook gets turned around as into the side of him went someone else, and a few more drivers running into issues as well.
We had lots of 4 wide last time out at Pocono, and 4 wide did not work into the carousel. This time here at Watkins Glen, unfortunately, on lap 1. There's just 10 laps, a flat-out sprint, and some of these drivers are unfortunately coming undone on lap 1 of 10.
So eyes back to the front, looking at John Schultz, sitting in 3rd place, exactly where he started, and as we come across the line to end lap 1, in fact, he's actually 1st. He's got ahead of Cameron Dance and Christopher Williams there on lap 1. Through turn 1, you see track limits there. You can use up the pavement on the outside. We saw a few drivers using the grass yesterday, but try that in these cars and you'll have a fast lane to the fence.
Up the hill here, this is where it becomes super speedway strategy. Which draft do you pick? Which lane do you take? And when do you pull out of the draft? And Matt Marsh, of course, has all of those options available to him.
Check out Russell Clark.
Yeah, is he then going to hoe along from Russell Clark? He's going from 4th, challenging for 1st.
So Dance opted to stay behind Schultz, and while they were doing that, Russell Clark and Matt Marsh had a fantastic run up the inside, and Clark goes from 4th to 1st. Marsh has to settle for 3rd. Dance goes back to 4th. Christopher Williams as well, dropping a couple of spots in that. Look how tightly packed these guys are.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. We've got 10 cars almost flying in formation, and that's where it's great for Russell Clark and John Schultz as teammates to sort of have a wingman in this pack, keep their elbows out for you, keep an eye on the swivel for you, and certainly better than being alone in a field this close.
So, fastest lap of the race is actually Aiden Coote, back in 5th place in this train. So watch them again now as we come up through the S's. Look at the gap that Russell Clark has got. Now that is bad news because it's about 2 car lengths, and that's going to give a pretty good run to John Schultz. And check out, already looking on the outside, Aiden Coote trying to get by Cameron Dance. But now, here it comes, back to the lead. John Schultz trying to take it away from Russell Clark. And Matt Marsh straight through the middle.
Yeah, Matt Marsh has slotted the gap there. They went 3 wide briefly. Now it's 2 wide on the way into the corner at the far side of the circuit. John Schultz still holding the inside there, which I think is where you want to be right here.
Almost a little bit of contact behind them between Dance
McKellar.
and McKellar, yeah, who is on the inside. Angus Cook, Christopher Williams, Matthew Mites, all in this group as well.
9 cars in the breakaway, and it's anyone's race between them at the minute. In 10th place, trying to catch them, Tony Clark is just off the train as these 9 drivers form the lead pack.
Aiden Coote just shy of leading that lap as he passes Matt Marsh just a fraction after the line. Takes it away at turn 1. John Schultz thought about going to the inside as well, but wasn't able to do it. And whoa, trying to force his way to the outside through the grass was Marsh. That was a bit aggressive, and it checked up John Schultz as he rejoined through the S's and gives the momentum to Cameron Dance. Now they even out across the top.
This looks like a formation lap. It is 2 wide, about 4 rows deep here as they head down the long back straight. Matt Marsh has cleared it, slots back over to the racing line, and Aiden Coote is going to get shuffled back at least 1, maybe 2, maybe 3 spots here.
It was a bit too aggressive from Marsh, wasn't it? Coming out of turn 1, trying to find his way to the outside of Coote, using some of the grass. He was about a whisker away from getting put in the fence on the left. They're still on track, they're still battling, they're still side by side. Coote gets to run back and into turn 10. 2x2 again. About to hit lap 5 of 10.
Gain very close between Coote and Marsh. They're not giving each other a lot of space, and they are absolutely just checking up everyone behind. And Tony Clark is almost catching them here, so they're not flying along the way that they're racing each other at the moment.
The previous lap they'd pulled out, but this lap everyone encloses in a bit. It's another 2 seconds behind Clark to the next car, which is Justin Howe. and he's in a battle with a few guys himself. Very wide through turn 2 from Dance that time, and that's going to put him under a lot of pressure as he just falls away off the back of Matt Marsh and Aiden Coote ever so slightly. This will give an advantage to Angus Cook and Russell Clark as they now close up down the back straight. 3 wide, approaching cars that are 2 wide. Someone might capitalize on it. No one can. It's a moving roadblock and they all have to lift off. The roadblock being Marsh and Coote, refusing to go single file for a single second around this racetrack.
You see where it costs some time there, especially Coote on the inside, just couldn't track out. Marsh holds a lot more speed there, and then a bunch of other drivers are going to try to follow through on the left-hand side there.
Angus Cook found himself in a pretty good spot and was able to drive by Coote. Dance tried to follow but had to lift out because it was an ever-closing gap, and in the end, Cook wasn't able to hold on to the spot through 10 and 11, so falls into 3rd. Still 2 spots higher than he started the lap. And at this point, drivers have got to start thinking about the final lap. Do you want to be the race leader coming into turn 1? Probably not.
I don't know where I'd want to be, and you've got a lot of choices now that there is 10 cars on the train. Tony Clark has hitched his wagon to the locomotive.
Yeah, just about, isn't he? He'll be there in a lap or 2 if these guys keep fighting. 3 wide. Wonder if we can get 4 wide down this back straight. It's plenty wide enough, but I couldn't see it working out particularly well with how tight you have to be. Cook on the inside, Coote on the outside, Marsh in the middle. Dance to his left. They converge through the carousel, and Cook with the best run. But as always, the outside exit's much better, and Coote has a run, Dance has a run, Marsh has nowhere to go. Clark and Schultz watching on, wondering how they're going to find a way through these guys.
I mean, when you look at the track layout for these cars, this is the racing we were kind of expecting, but it is still just ridiculous. There is no time where your spotter isn't telling you car left, car right, or you're not, pulling on the car in front, but with nowhere to go when you're, maybe boxed to the outside as they come to turn 1. It's about half of these drivers are. So you're really just trying to pick your way through peak hour traffic.
You are. At the very back, McKellar tried to get by Williams and couldn't quite make it work. Now he's stuck side by side with him. Up through the S's, as is Cook and Marsh. Dance finding his way ahead of Matt Marsh through that final sector. And now attacking for the race lead. Remember, he started on pole. The guy currently leading started 8th, and Angus Cook started 9th. Down the back straight, Matt Marsh. How powerful is that slingshot through the middle? Wow, almost contact. As Aiden Coote didn't leave him much room, and Russell Clark tags the grass on the inside. Somehow doesn't spear left into Cook, but Cook will spear left into Dance. Both through the grass, both save it, both fall back half a dozen spots.
I'm just interested to see how well Matt Marsh timed that one. We know he timed some really great runs at Pocono a week ago, so I think he's already testing the waters here. Can he make that move and then hold on to the lead of the pack to the checkered flag? Well, by all accounts, it's possible. So he's worked out when and how to time that run.
Dance will be pretty unhappy with that from Coote. Remember the games he played on the final lap at Pocono, which ultimately ruined him as he came to the line in the fence. Turn 1 starting to become a much larger corner for these drivers as they try to carry more and more speed the further the race goes on.
Yeah, they pave all of that, and it's still not enough for our drivers who are cutting across the grass a little bit in some places. We haven't had the big one in the pack. The 10 cars still all going on here. There's 3 laps to go.
Yeah, look how far out Matt Marsh got cutting through the S's. Is it enough that he isn't under pressure into the carousel? It is. John Schultz just not able to get there. So bear in mind, he had a gap at the line of 0.8 of a second. So that could be an important number. Doesn't have it anymore though, because they well and truly shut it down that straight.
Now's the point where it's very valuable to be John Schultz and Russell Clark may be able to communicate and work together here somewhat.
Dance is on the warpath back forwards, now alongside Williams. Wrong side for the final corner. He'll try to sweep around it. Little bit of banking on that corner, ever so slightly, and it works out well for him. He puts himself up now into P5. I think I just heard lap traffic somewhere. Yeah, Peter Wilkinson. And that might give a bit of a tow to Matt Marsh and help him out, but that mistake at turn 1 will hurt him. Side by side up through the S's then. John Schultz on the inside. Angus Cook behind, looking to follow Schultz. Wilkinson, where on earth does he go here? Because they might be 3 wide.
Into the grass. I mean, yeah, the pack is going to bear down on him 2, maybe 3 wide. He's just going to do what he can
to
not get swallowed up. He should take the bus stop.
He should. He stays right. Good job. They were 4 wide for a moment. Oh, there's contact into the air. Sideways. 3 of them wreck. And a huge incident for Aiden Coote. Still, that car now akin to a canoe. Needs to tow quickly because he's in the middle of the racing line. Shift R, Aiden Coote. There we go. He's out of the way.
Through all of that dance, has grabbed the lead of what's now only a 5-car pack. Schultz, Williams, McKellar, and Clark in there.
That was contact with Cook and Marsh, I think, that triggered it. We'll get a replay post-race. As Dance runs wide, I bet you that was not a mistake, because it gives up the race lead as we begin our final lap. You don't want to be leading this race, but it will be. John Schultz, that leads us to the line. They're 3 wide for second. All the way on the inside, Alex McKellar, who's been at the back of this train the entire race. Now he runs second. Dance on his outside. Another lapped car. That's Isaac Summers. They catch him through the S's. He stays right. And they squeeze by even. But now watch this. Down the back straight, David. It's going to get dicey. Danson. McKellar almost bang wheels, and here comes McKellar. Dance to the middle. 3 wide for the race lead. Final lap at Watkins Glen. Russell Clark with a great run as well. He's got nowhere to go. He tried to open the door, but it stayed shut. Into the carousel. Cameron Dance goes a bit too deep, and Alex McKellar comes out with the race lead. Can he keep it? With 2 corners to go. Dance is coming back. McKellar drives it down the left-hand side of the racetrack, and Dance to the outside. If he can drive around here, it's the inside for the final corner. McKellar slides, and he gets into him. They both wreck. Russell Clark wrecks as well. John Schultz, the only driver to emerge, will come out of the final corner, and it's John Schultz. He led at the line. He was not leading for much of that lap, but he'll lead it again back at the line. He wins race 1.
Tony Clark and Matthew Mites come through there for 2nd and 3rd as well, and they weren't even on the front pack. So it was kind of predictable with all of those drivers and none willing to give. But you've got to feel that some drivers may have just driven in a little bit above their talent on the final lap there.
And you know why John Schultz won that race? He drove above his talent. He ended up off the grass through a mistake of his own. And as they wrecked on the racetrack, he was able to scoot around it. But McKellar was just a fraction too committed, wasn't he? Drifted out. Only maybe a quarter of a car's width too much, but it was just enough to tag that left rear of Dance, and with a load on the cars at that point, that's going to turn around any day of the week. We'll take a look at our results. Don't want to have a look at a couple of replays if we can. John Schultz winning by half a second over Tony Clark in the end. He picks up quite a few spots on that last lap. Matthew Mites home in 3rd. Nathan Verney, Kevin Henderson 4th and 5th. Cameron Dance, Aaron Dillon only 6th for Dance, 7th for Dillon. Hancock 8th. Russell Clark only 9th and Gordon Smith 10th.
In 11th place, it's Robert Cook, and then Russell Marsh in 12th, Dean Williams in 13th, Philip Howe in 14th, Connor Brown in 14th. I'm seeing different numbers there, but Leon Williams in 16th per the graphics, Alex McKellar in 17th, Braden Martin in 18th, Christopher Williams 19th, and Angus Cook in 20th. I'll just read what's on the screen instead of my timing screen.
I want to highlight Connor Brown, 38th to 15th, by the way. Great drive from him. Matt Marsh, Aiden Coote, Peter Wilkinson, Julian Mookie, all these guys finishing a lap down. So Coot and Marsh had to retire after that incident. You can see the rest of the drivers as they come through on your screen, all retiring from the race. Plenty of drama, titanic battle, and I don't think any of us are surprised. It ended with tears. As replay coming up of some of the incidents at the back.
I mean, you could play that whole last lap at 1/4 speed and not be bored because moves were happening every which way, every corner there.
Yeah, back to that incident with a couple to go. Got to be disappointed if you're some of the ones taken out in that. You expect to at least make it to the last lap in those situations.
Coot and Marsh are probably going to be a bit heartbroken because we know both of them were really right at the front of the pack, timing their runs well, and then are basically going to get a non-result, which is horrible in a championship like this where the point structure really favors just repeatedly getting top 5s and top 10s over winning one race and crashing out the next.
Highlighted the 38th to 15th performance, 37th to 10th as well for Gordon Smith. Good effort from him to get up there. Now, here we go. 3 wide as they go by the lapped car, makes them 4 wide. And then it looks like Cook tried to fill a hole that wasn't quite open, and that's what triggered Matt Marsh and Aiden Coot. Coot
Dispersing
monstrous
his
crash.
tyres into different postcodes as they get ripped off in the centrifugal force. It's ridiculous. Here's the view from Matt Marsh, and someone's going to come across as the gap to the right-hand side tries to get filled by the Macintosh Computers car, and they weren't expecting it to go 4 wide there. They weren't leaving 4 lanes.
Over the crest. Oh, what a sight that would have been to see. Good job to avoid that. Well, now we've got about just quite shy double that length. We'll have pit stops as well. Another replay still to come of that last incident coming into the final corner. But pit stops are going to shake it up. It could give an opportunity for a few drivers to potentially just break away from the field. We saw that last week, didn't we? Flat traffic, navigating it was the best way and resulted in the race win. So that's done. Just looking to the outside of McKellar. McKellar was compromised on the entry. Needed to adjust through the corner. He didn't. Slides wide. And look at Schultz on the outside. Only one to make it through. And then the other 2 behind.
Rare that I say this, but I do kind of feel for Cam Dance in that situation there. He was trying to go for the win. He left everyone else space, and just didn't quite work out for him. But luckily for him, he does have race 2 coming up in not too long, like you say.
He does. We'll go to a break here on Simspeed TV until we're ready for race 2, but stay with us on the other side of this, qualifying and more action from Watkins Glen International.
fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going in the outside, both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh my God! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Six very close. These guys I want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no! That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God!
God, what?
Welcome back to Watkins Glen International. Coverage today brought to you by Simspeed and Virtual Motorsport Mentor. And I'm still trying to dissect what happened in that race, to be honest with you. Certainly it's what we all expected coming into the race. We knew it was basically, as we mentioned earlier, a glorified oval with a layout. It's what I wanted though, and I'm glad we got it. And drama was high, and now we are likely going to see a few drivers looking for some redemption in this one.
Yeah, we got the draft packs we were thinking about. We had all of that, pack racing, super speedway stuff. No bump drafting in these cars, I think, thank goodness. But it will shake it up a little bit in race 2 as we have a slightly longer race. The drivers are required to make a pit stop for 2 tires, and that will, I think, space out the field a little more, add a little more strategy to it, knowing that some teams, some drivers are going to pit lap 1, some are going to wait till right at the end of the race, some are going to try to pick in the middle. It's definitely what we saw at Pocono as well, where there was a broad variety of strategy. So maybe it'll add a little more intellectualism to this race, but I think the closeness of the racing should still be there as well.
No, as Cameron Dance managed to spin it on his outlap through turn 10. Philip House spun it through turn 1 on his first flying lap. A few drivers struggling with cold tyres after blazing around here for almost 15 minutes on nice, warm, fuzzy tyres. Check out the length of that back straight. That shot really highlights it, doesn't it? You see the bus stop on the left where you'd normally turn. And then the carousel.
See, I'm a bus stop carousel kind of person, but apparently they're technically inner loop, outer loop. And I think it's just a matter of how you're feeling on the day.
Depends if you're a Yankee or not, basically.
I think it depends if you're sports car racing or stock car racing as well.
I think I've gone over this a few times, that we've come to the conclusion that Americans are quite weird with how they name their corners, and obviously they use miles per hour and Fahrenheit because, gotta stand out. I think it's called bus stop in NASCAR. That's why I call it the bus stop. Same with the back straight at Daytona. Dennis Hancock, fastest. 1 minute 25.3. That's at least half a second slower than what we saw in qualifying for race 1. I know drivers were in the 24s. Can't quite remember just how far in they were. Cook with the 25.0.
Yeah, it's all very familiar names in the top 10 once again. Schultz, Cook, Coote, other Robert Cook, Cameron Dance, Russell Clark. The familiar names in our top 10 there. The usual suspects for sure at the moment.
Schultz winning that race by beginning the final lap in first place, but not because he led the entire lap. I think he got quite fortunate there, didn't he? But fortune favours the bold. He went out there and took the lead away. As it turns out, that was the best position to be in. Not quite the way anyone expected it to be, though.
It wasn't out of the picture that someone would Stephen Bradbury their way into the victory or onto the podium in race 1. I think the only thing we could expect was the unexpected, and I think the unexpected was quite expected.
What?
I think I made myself clear.
Come on, my brain doesn't want to work that hard on these races. I've actually been watching Schultz on this second lap, and he's not gone for it. He's actually decided to just try and keep the longevity in the tyres to have a crack on his final attempt. So he was 5 seconds slower on that lap for reference. We'll see what he can do in his final attempt. As we watch now, coming to the line, this is Jamie Davis, sorry. He crosses the line, and that lap was that lap. So it won't count.
Ought to still have plenty of time, though. It's not a 2-minute lap around here. So most of the drivers did leave the pit lane at the earliest opportunity, as Kevin Henderson has a great strategy for warming all 4 tyres through the carousel there. But indeed, there's a few drivers who have just held it out a little bit longer and are probably still going to have time in the qualifying session to get their laps done.
Big shout out to Prestige Trophy as well, coming on board this
Oh, that's
season.
not how you warm them, Kevin. No, that's not how you warm those tyres at all.
Big shout out to Prestige Trophy, I'll try it again, for coming on board this season. Sponsoring the series and providing some pretty cool trophies at the end of the season as well, which will look pretty good on the mantelpiece for an avid sim racer.
What is that front wing doing? My goodness, I've never seen that before.
It's got a mind of its own. John Schultz, his third lap, put him back at the top. That cooldown lap worked a treat. Who's that? Number 9.
Braden Martin, a bit of a Port Power fan, we can tell. And actually, here's his dedication to this series. Last Thursday, his team was playing, but he was racing here instead.
Well, I mean, where are they?
Beats having to watch a Port Power match, but anyway.
Yeah, that's right. They're first. I was going to make a joke about probably losing, but I can't because they're the one team playing well this season. Damn it. He's a glory hunter. Yes, there we go. He's clearly glory hunting. His way to the Premiership. Jeremy Bush in 28th. 28th isn't as bad as it sounds when you consider there's almost 40 cars in the field. And he's clearly happy with it.
He's practicing that pit entry. We see that sometimes in this second qualifying session. Drivers will do their laps and then do a cool down lap, or pretty hot cool down lap, and then practice their pit entry at speed to make sure they can absolutely nail it. Because, you know, in a 25-minute race, when you've got to do a pit stop and you've got as many cars as we've got, they're as close as they are, you've got to absolutely nail that pit stop. Every second counts, can mean 5 or 10 positions easily. So quite a few of the drivers do practice that pit entry, as we've got the haunted front nose cone going down the pit straight once again.
Justin Howe in 10th after that late improvement. It's about as much of that haunted nose cone as probably what's left of their car after Jay Kennedy went and had a drive of it. And he wrecked at such speed that the front wing is still trying to slow down from terminal velocity.
Can't get over it, man. It's like, you're not meant to be able to see the other drivers, but Kevin Henderson has done sufficient damage to his nose that it's warped into an alternative reality where it's got a portal, and the other drivers can see his nose going around the track. I'm not sure. Jamie Davis, again, I wonder if his nose is going to haunt us.
There's the other 9/10 of the car. Going for the Red Bull Aero option on the front with the hole in the nose cone. Everyone's laps are done though here in qualifying for race 2. So that means we can take a look at our starting grid. And it will be John Schultz on pole position. Cameron Dance doesn't get the pole 2 races in a row. He'll start second. Clark, Matthew Might, third and fourth. Williams and Coote on row 3. Angus Cook, Alex McKellar, 7th and 8th. Matty Jones and Justin Howe, 9th and 10th.
Yeah, and 11th got Robert Cook, Matt Marsh for company there. Dean Williams 13th, Russell Marsh in 14th. Vic Bent Veldson's a bit higher up the grid in 15th with Braden Martin in 16th. Jamie Davis is in 17th. Dennis Hancock in 18th. Aaron Dillon 20th. And Julian Mookie is in 20th place on the grid for race 2.
21st goes to Peter Wilkinson. Wayne Priest start alongside him. Michael Schofiris and Nathan Verney 23rd and 24th. Tony Clark and Gray Wellman on row 13. Gordon Smith and Jeremy Bush on row 14. Dean Albans and David Summers 29th and 30th.
And we have lost one of our drivers since race 1, so our 37-car starting field is rounded out by Philip Howe in 31st, Ira Felberg in 32nd, Leon Williams 33rd, Isaac Summers in 34th, Matt Hodson 35th, Matthew Joy 36th, Kevin Henderson 37th, and actually we've might have Connor Brown in 38th now, but no qualifying time listed there. So 37 drivers with a qualifying time.
So now we wait for the start. 17 laps is our scheduled race distance, so just shy of double after our 10-lap opener. And
I'm thinking track position's pretty important here. We're probably going to see more drivers pit early, because if you do have those cold tyres, you're probably still going to be able to stick with someone because of how strong the draft is. So I'd personally feel like favouring pitting early, but there's always some contrarians, some drivers who think they'll benefit from doing the opposite of what everyone else is doing. So we'll see what happens.
Last week they pitted early and it worked out to be the best strategy, but they had a lot of cars around them that hadn't pitted and they had to work their way through it. And that's what caused a big gap at the field for our race leader to cruise home unchallenged by slipstreaming attacks from behind. If you can get free by working a miracle strategy, then you've almost won yourself the race in pit lane. See if anyone can do it today. Race 2 from Watkins, Glen, the feature race. Underway, green flag is out.
Clean jump from your pole sitter. In fact, a clean jump from almost everyone in your top 8. You've got to look a bit further down before it gets scruffy and 3 wide. John Schultz is going to lead them clear through turn 1.
Christopher Williams able to slide on by Matthew Mites. That's the first change of position in the field. As up through the S's, John Schultz is going to leave the door ajar. Cameron Dance to the lead of the race. But watch them as they come down towards the carousel. They're all following Dance. No one wants to follow Schultz on the left.
Inside was definitely the place to be, into a long, slightly banked corner like the carousel. And it looks like that's how it's going to work out as well. Dance has made a bunch of ground on the inside. Now we can track all the way out and keep his momentum. But it's Clark and Schultz, the teammates, together once again in the top 3.
Yeah, Russell Clark had got to the lead momentarily, but Dance is able to sort of reclaim it through that carousel, as you mentioned. Now, keep your eye coming out of the final corner. You've got to get around the corner and be off the exit before you lift off. Otherwise, you're going to get run over from behind. Does anyone pit from our leading group? Top 3, the answer is no. Top 5, the answer is no. Not many, if any.
Saw someone, maybe it was Alex McCallum or Matty Jones, thought about it and then backed out of it when they saw everyone in front of them wasn't doing.
Bent Velson has come to pit road. So too Julian Mookie, Tony Clark, Gordon Smith, Kevin Henderson, and Ira Felberg. And Matthew Joy.
Dean Albans in there as well, so a couple takers, but no one from the very top of the field. Someone's around in turn 1, couple cars are around. That's our first big pile-up.
Russell Marsh involved. A few more front wings have been sent off to the Netherlands. And Williams looks like he might have some broken on that front right. Here's moment simulation replay.
Cold tyres, Dean Williams loops it, does not catch it.
That car took a hard right at the end. Aaron Dillon into the fence.
Suspension can break relatively easily on these exposed wheels here, and everyone's got the cold tires. So you see that driver losing it. Where are you going to go? Just ran out of places to be able to go. And yeah, not very happy with that, I don't think.
No. By the way, Aiden Coote's gone from 5th to 1st on this lap. He now leads the race. Russell Clark slots into 2nd. Dance back to 3rd. Schultz 4th. And Williams are side-by-side with Cook for 5th.
Not many lap 2 takers on pit lane, just Matty Jones and Dennis Hancock in the background there. Rest of our top field here carry on. Coote has indeed done very well to get himself to the point of the field once again. He's hoping he's going to get a cleaner result than race 1, where he became a bit of a spinning top.
It looks almost like a 6-car breakaway at the moment. McKellar, Marsh, Howe, and Cook, Robert Cook, aren't far away, but they're not exactly there at the moment, as down the back straight, being offered up the outside. Russell Clark will take it. He didn't have a particularly good run though, and he hasn't cleared Coote by that much. Coote might be able to come back to the carousel here. No, he can't. Russell Clark does a good enough job to cover that off on the entry, but how about the exit? That was pretty good from Aiden Coote, because in theory the inside shouldn't be the one getting the exit.
Yeah, they're pretty much nose-to-nose level here for the lead. Coote's just in front, but it's difficult around the outside of this particular corner. Don't tell Aiden Coote that. He's very happy, very confident, carrying some speed here and there. Ooh, more drivers from the front pack going onto pit road. John Schultz and Christopher Williams have decided they've had enough of this.
Matt Marsh, Robert Cook as well, Matthew Mites. So, it'll be interesting to see how that one plays out for those guys. Interested that Russell Clark didn't come with John Schultz.
So, just the 2 tyres required to be taken, and we do expect everyone to take the front tyres. Seems to be the popular way to do it. Interesting line here from Clark, staying well wide up the top of the S's. He's got Dance following him, whereas Angus Cook is going to slot to the other line.
Angus Cook's going to lead us into the carousel. Yep, there you go. That was about as big a gap as he's ever going to get, going through the middle of 3 wide. 1 car extreme right, 1 car extreme left.
I mean, we've seen that. You don't want to be right at the gearbox of the car in front at the top of the S's. You want to save it for halfway down that back straight.
You need to generate the run, yeah.
Yeah, and then pull out and have that run. So that's where we see the drivers from 3rd or 4th get to the front of the train, but he's angling like he's going for pit road, and he is.
So is Russell Clark.
Yeah, he's going to have some company there as well. So every lap, there's 1 or 2 who fancy the pit lane. Now it's just Coote and Dance out front of the field.
Justin Howe coming into the lane as well. So too Braden Martin. Now, keep an eye on these guys. Brent Bruce is in the lane as well. Where do they rejoin comparative to John Schultz and Christopher Williams?
And Matty Jones here is 2nd of the cars that have pitted, and he's right behind John Schultz. So he's kind of ended up in not a bad place, I would think, because we're going to see a couple more of those drivers rejoin. Schultz and Jones are ahead of Cook, Clark, and Williams. So it's early pit stop.
Williams had a bad stop. He must have. Or a bad outlap. Because he dropped a lot, hasn't he?
About 2 seconds.
He was in that battle with the top 4. And now he's got 3 cars between himself and John Schultz, who at the line was 4 seconds up the road.
Jane Priest here is going past Gordon Smith, who is our big mover in race 1.
Coote and Dance continued on.
Yeah,
McKellar came to pit road from 3rd though.
Now there's only 4 drivers who haven't pitted at this point. Matty Jones has gotten past John Schultz to be the leading of the cars who have made their stop at this point. They have to go around another car going for the lane. That was Isaac Summers.
I feel like Matty Jones almost came from nowhere. I believe he was in that little group I called out as being just a little way off the back of the top 6 or so before those pit stops.
Yeah, Jones has come from 9th on the grid, so I think taking the early stop appears to have worked out well enough for him, and it was a very quick stop. About 9.5 seconds for him, was a lot of other drivers at around 11-second stops, including Alex McKellar we're looking at here.
Yeah, he comes
so
out
I don't know.
behind even Howe and Williams.
The pit stops basically fall into 2 categories here, 9.5 second stops and 11.5 second stops. And I'm not sure what's adding 2 seconds to some of these longer stops, or if it's just that's the random chance sort of window.
Does it change 2 tires in 2.5 seconds? I doubt it. Nah. Difference between fronts and rears suggests Jay Cook.
Oh, bit of a argy-bargy there between Clark and Cook, and Russell Clark just forced Angus Cook out onto the grass in this 4-car battle that I think is going to end up being for the race lead. Hayden Coote's on pit lane right now, so we'll see where he comes out. Then it's just Dance and Verney yet to pit, and we can have an accurate picture of who's where and who's in contention.
Well, Dance was complaining he didn't like the slipstream that was going on. Well, now he gets to run around by himself and see how fast he can go. Might find himself getting swallowed up as Coote comes out of the lane. It's going to be behind these guys. Jones slips by Clark.
Coote's coming out of pit lane, and he's going to be too wide with them as well.
Right in front of Angus Cook. Good news is he gets up to speed really quick thanks to that slipstream. In fact, I wonder if he could lead them down to the carousel here.
Yeah, well, he'll have colder tyres than everyone else, so I think the smart thing to do would be to ride along at the back of the train till your tyres are warm with 10 laps more to go, but I'm not sure the racing we've seen has necessarily been the smart thing, as they're 3 wide with Jones to the outside of the teammates of Schultz and Clark. Big momentum around the outside for Matty Jones, but is he going to be able to gather it up on the exit of the corner? Not a bad job, if I'm honest.
If they wrecked now, we could hand the race winner Cameron Dance as he pits. So we're going to be a little bit careful about this. As Jones drifts almost into the path of Clark, then adjusts quite viciously before they get to the corner. Leads them through.
You've got to go down to 19th place before there's a driver who's pitted, not in a battle right now. It's just 4-car packs, 5-car packs up and down the field, our entire 37, 38-car field. So that's how it goes on. And Braden Martin, one of them involved in this battle, 13th through to 16th.
Cameron Dance emerges well out ahead of these guys. Now, is he free?
He's got 2 seconds ahead of Matty Jones, but he's going to get caught. I'd feel almost certain Jones, Clark, Schultz have got a lot more speed coming up the hill, and they've got warm tyres, so they're going to catch them up the hill.
I reckon not quite. Dance, Bernie, Jones. Well, Jones is side by side at the moment, and they trip over each other. They won't catch him as Coote powers by. Now he gets that run to the head of the train. Russell Clark on the outside. Angus Cook wanted to get to the inside as... Oh, Matty Jones. That had to be about as close as you can get to contact through the carousel then. We've seen a few times drivers on the inside just trying to push a little bit too hard and having to backpedal in the end to avoid contact. While we saw that crash on the final lap, wasn't it?
Ooh, almost again a little rub between Cook and Jones, who I feel like those two just haven't been giving each other much space whatsoever. It's gone this way, it's gone that way, and
so the gap at the line for Dance is 2.5 seconds. Nathan Verney yet to pit, so he's not technically in the race. Coote tried the grass, and it almost speared him into the Armco there. Dance is free right now.
Yeah, these guys aren't helping themselves get towards the win, and I think that's almost what Dance's strategy has always relied on is these other guys being too greedy.
Yep, they are not driving smart right now.
We've only
if
just
they
gone
did
past halfway in this race, and
down
they're
the
already
straight,
doing this.
They'd be fine. But it's the side-by-side of the corners which is slowing them up. And Dance actually got a slipstream from Leon Williams, a lapped car, on that lap. So he's going to be even faster this time by.
The lead is Nathan Verney, and I am going to suggest he's going to come out around 14th or 15th. It's looked like the pit stop, 2 tyres, and then get up to speed has cost about 27 to 28 seconds. So that's how far you've got to look down the order for where I think Verney will end up slotting in. He's not in contention for the win.
He's gained a second this lap. Here's the thing. If these guys realize we have to catch him, and they passed only in a straight line, they would go faster because the leading car is not being held up through the corners at all, and they're gaining at least half a second down the straights. The leading car would change hands quite a few times, but as soon as they go side by side to the corner, they cost themselves anything they gain down the straight. So right here, here's what needs to happen. Aiden Coop needs to slingshot by Angus Cook, and then he needs to be single file through the carousel. Matty Jones can't force them 3 wide. It's a bit frustrating to watch when you realise what they're doing, isn't it, Dave?
I can feel that, yeah. It's, you know, you can see this opportunity in front of them, and you're watching their collective greed throw it all away, and even worse, hand it to Cameron Dance.
That is the worst bit of all of this, is it's gifting Cameron Dance a race win. They were
making Cam look smart by his strategy choice as they keep doing this. Oh, this is the second pack. Justin Howe was leading it, and he's gotten all out of shape. Handed it away to Alex McKellar, Christopher Williams. But this second pack here have been catching the lead pack. That's the nonsense that has been the lead pack.
Almost 4 seconds the gap. They were held up because they were 3 wide. They were also held up because they were through the carousel with a lapped car.
Bit of talk that Matty Jones might be the mole for Cam Dance, slowing up the chasing pack, refusing to participate.
Yeah, just listening to that. They're not happy with Jones's aggression level. As
I'm not
Cook
saying
on
it's
the
true.
inside.
I'm just saying it's an interesting allegation.
Cook
Pursuing
clears.
pack nearly 4 wide as they have to pass a bit of traffic. And Justin Howe gets back to the lead of that one, or does he? Well, yeah, these guys are starting to behave like the others.
Yeah. Well, I don't think they can get there anyway. Russell Clark complains again because Matty Jones has just decided to go up the inside at turn 10. He's being urged by them now to wait to the back straight to make these moves, because they know what they're doing. They're holding each other up. He's made a mistake, bolted off the racetrack. He's held up Cook. He's holding up Clark now. It has given Cook opportunity to break away, but he needs someone to slipstream and slingshot by him and overtake him down the straight, allowing them to go quicker on the lap. Matty Jones again, forcing Coot side by side.
Coot's got clear of him though, and will slot into draft of Angus Cook just up the road. Then we haven't really seen a whole lot of team games from Clark and Schultz, which is kind of unfortunate.
See, they catch Cook, but they're not able to get there. That means that while those guys have gone fast, Angus Cook has not gone any faster on this lap. The theory all relies on someone passing you and then becoming a lead car, doesn't it? Because they go faster thanks to that straight line speed. Matty Jones here, if he passes Angus Cook around the outside, is going to kill the train. And that's exactly what it does.
Yeah, he's not playing the leapfrog 1-2-1-2 strategy that some of the others want to play.
No, what he's doing is showing some, I guess, big signs of inexperience or immaturity or something along those lines, because every racing driver who's running in the top 5 wants to go win that race. And they have an opportunity, but he doesn't want to take it, seemingly.
This is just feeling like a lot of race 1 all over again, but in a longer format. Are they going to go 4 wide? They are. Oh, I think that's Clark backs out of it. Doesn't want to be down the inside. So Angus Cook, I think, is going to have the prime position here unless he pushes wide into Coop. Just manages to hold the line 2 wide through the carousel on this occasion. Clever stuff from Clark here at the moment. He doesn't want to get tangled up too early.
Jones taking it 3 wide. Yep, there you go.
Yeah, this is proper closing minutes of a Tour de France stage kind of thing. The breakaway and the peloton and just not sure who's in the right position to sprint to the end.
Except in the Tour de France, peloton generally work together to catch the breakaway, don't they? In cycling,
normally,
they have
yeah.
that camaraderie, don't they, to catch the leader.
It's a lot easier to lean over your shoulder and talk to someone than it is with a helmet on in a race car.
Have got communication channels open.
Doesn't mean everyone's listening.
Mm-hmm. Gap is 6 seconds. There's 4 to go. Even if they work together now, I don't think they'd even catch him.
Ridiculous stuff. 4 wide once again. This time, Russell Clark does not back out of it. Grabs 3 spots at once. Gets to the head of the train. Thank you very much. There was a Skip Barber and 1 inch of width there, and he put his car there because he's sick and tired of these other guys leading the field.
That worked out pretty well. He'll go really fast on this lap. Because Aiden Koo, I don't think, will come back at him. He doesn't. He does. Interesting. Second group's 2 wide as well. Almost contact as Cooks just avoided sliding into Williams. Matt Marsh is getting to the inside. Justin Howe trying to capitalise as well. I think that second group's now given up on the prospect of catching Dance. So too as a front group. Been a bit of chatter from that second group as well about some impatient drivers too.
Yeah, I mean, this really is like oval racing. Too much chatter but in the field, but there we go. It's still everyone's race to run, and it does look like how much Cook those lot are almost making this one giant pack.
Yeah, well, they're complaining that Howe's moving across the track. Up to a pretty tight line there. Looked pretty straight to me that time by, and Matt Marsh goes by. Cook and Matty Jones are side by side for the second place. Nathan Verney still hasn't pitted, by the way.
As you say that.
There he's in. He's in the lane. Yep.
Ooh, who is that? Justin Howe. They really have gotten sick of him in that second pack. He has ended up in the fence there. A lot of damage and almost buried into the Armco. So we'll take a look. Howe is on the outside here. That's whoa. That's something.
Russell Clark has just glued onto the fact that they've been caught by the other group. Using some of the curb through the S's there from Matty Jones. That's bold on these cars. It's about to become a stampede for second place. Russell Clark with a good run, forces himself to the outside of Matty Jones. His teammate's going to try to follow him.
It's 3 wide down the straight, becomes 2 wide through the corner. Coote and Jones side by side, and Coote has just really gotten off that corner well, even when he's had the inside line. So keep that in mind for the last lap, which is the next lap. Cam Dance has already taken the white flag in this race. The pursuing pack, second down to 7th. Barney's not
wide for second.
Trust us, it's out there as they go 3 wide.
Matty Jones, John Schultz, Andy Coote are those 3 cars. Russell Clark, Angus Cook are behind them. So is Christopher Williams. Matty Jones is 8.2 seconds off the lead of Cameron Dance. Largely through his own doing, one might argue, so he's going to want to come home in second. That might become difficult down this back straight, because watch the run that John Schultz is about to get in his slipstream. He shuts the door on Angus Cook. Aiden Coote closing. Schultz has the inside. He's drawn alongside. He's drawn clear of him almost. He's got Aiden Coote on the outside of the racetrack trying to swoop around them. Can he keep that car glued? No, he can't. And they're 3 wide through the carousel. It works out somehow. And now into turn 10. John Schultz leading them. Angus Cook trying to take it away. With Aiden Coote on his inside, they run very tight through 10. Out front, Cameron Dance will win the race by a comfortable margin. As behind them, Schultz gets turned around by Coote, who goes headfirst into the tyre bundle. And it's a drag race to the line for second place, and it'll be won by Matty Jones.
Butchella is on his lid, Coote is in the fence, and someone's been sent onto pit road. There's a couple cars that contact in the final corner aren't going to make it to the checkered flag. Reverse gear for John Schultz. He's trying to get that thing to the line. There's a few drivers who aren't going to be happy, and I think that started with Angus Cook throwing his nose down the inside for 3 wide on the final corner.
Matt Marsh ended up down pit road following the rolling car Alex McKellar, who also went through pit road after trying to avoid Coote as he slid back across the racetrack in his second attempt at making his Skip Barber look like a canoe today. On board with Mookie here. He comes to the line. No rear wing on that car. And he'll just about get there. That was pretty tight.
Yeah, line comes up just in time for the wingless wonder, Julian Mookie. And speaking of, RFLberg's missing some of the front panels there. He's sent his ghost wing to another realm, but he's still going to get the checkered flag. And you see he picks up a couple positions between the final corner and the line, potentially, because of some of the drivers we've had not make it to the line and retire on the last lap.
Here's your full results then. 9.6 seconds, the winning margin for Cameron Dance. Matty Jones home in second, ahead of Angus Cook. Christopher Williams and Russell Clark, 4th and 5th. Robert Cook, Tony Clark, 6th and 7th. Breda Martin, Nathan Verney, and Vic Bent-Velsen make up your top 10.
11th place, Matt Marsh. Somehow, I think, crossed the line on pit road there. Gordon Smith in 12th. Again, a big mover. This time, 15 positions gained. But not our biggest mover. Dennis Hancock is in 13th. Dwayne Priest in 14th. Michael Shafarius in 15th. John Schultz in 16th. But Connor Brown up 21 spots from basically the back of the grid is your biggest mover in 17th place. Julian Mookie, we saw in 18th. Just hold off Russell Marsh, and the times reflect that. And then David Summers rounds out 20th.
Take a look at the rest of the results as they scroll through on your screen. Our 38-car field from Watkins Glen International. for the second round of the Ozicar Skip Barber Series. Let's have a chat then to our second runner-up, Angus Cook, coming home in third place. Pretty big battle in both races. Looked like a lot of fun.
Yeah, my goodness. I still don't know actually what happened on that last lap. It was bloody everywhere, and inside, outside, left, right, and then spinning cars coming across the line. So yeah,
It was. Now, there was a lot of chatter, both on the track and in the comms box, about that first chasing pack. Chase down Cameron Dance. It was about 2 seconds. It ended up at 9 seconds. Working together to catch him, was that on your mind? Was it other drivers that didn't want to make it happen, or what?
I don't want to name and blame. There was one in particular holding us up. Yeah, we were chatting between, and yeah, we wanted to catch him bad, and we would have had him with the pace that I know of the guys up front. But yeah, one of them was just holding us up and dive bombing in rather than holding our line, and yeah, it proved costly, and it was a race for second instead of a race for first.
Yeah, at least race one was a race for the win. You were part of that until you had that incident down the back straight, which resulted in the canoe of Aiden Coote's car. I don't know if you've seen that yet, but
Yeah, definitely.
thoughts on that incident?
Yeah, Matt and I both chatted after. We both reckon we sort of dived in a little, him to the right, me to the left, to a gap that probably wasn't there, and lock wheels, I went flying, and Aiden was collateral damage, and the damage model did a good job to show what happens to these cars.
Certainly does. But bouncing back with a podium, wow, on the broadcast now, just seeing a replay of the last lap incident. Aiden Coote again. Wow. Someone just used Aiden Coote's car as a glorious ramp. Alex McKellar.
He's had a huge night.
Stadium Super Truck style into pit lane. Onboard replay there. Podium, a good way to bounce back from that race one disaster. There it is. There's the ramp. Who do you want to thank for getting it done?
Well, my dad came in and absolutely slaughtered me for the race one incident, so not him. But anyone but Mark, Michelle, Sienna, everyone, all the family.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Good to see us watching. And good job today in that battle to the end.
Cheers, guys.
And hello to Father Cook out there watching Angus in that
Wouldn't
race.
the Father Cook be a head chef? Anyway,
let's chat to our race winner. Cameron Dance gets it done with a stellar pit strategy, and David Haynes standing by to have a chat.
Yeah, well, first of all, Cam, congratulations there. You were in and amongst the pack for the lead in race one. And how much did that inform your pit stop decision for race two?
Quite significantly. I knew that it was going to be a big, massive scrap and melee for basically all those sort of positions, because if you had the draft, you could easily catch up to everybody ahead of you and then get involved. So it was, just going to be a matter of figuring out how we play the pit strategy, which seemed to work in the end of running a few clean laps down clean air to get some decent laps and then doing a nice quick pit stop.
Did you get bored? Did you have to make any phone calls during that race? I mean, what kept you busy? Because it was non-stop action on the broadcast, non-stop action for everyone second on down behind you. But what was keeping you busy for 17 laps there?
More or less just looking around going, oh, that's a nice grandstand, or that's a nice fence. Just focusing on hitting my marks and all that sort of stuff with a bit of music and the broadcast on in the background. So, yeah, it was pretty clean sailing and easy from once I'd finished my pit stop and came out like 2 and a bit seconds ahead, and then they all started scrapping. So it was just a matter of keeping it clean and putting in some nice consistent laps.
What do you have to say to allegations that someone in the chasing pack was a mole throwing moves and slowing down the field?
Oh, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, because it's kind of one of those tactics that in this sort of condition, in this sort of track and car, you're constantly trying to give yourself an advantage and not either hold yourself up or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things you find. I mean, we saw last week at Pocono, I tried to do the same sort of thing more or less when I hit the brakes on the way into the final chicane on the last lap, and it kind of bamboozled everyone. But no, it's one of those cars where racecraft is really, really important, and just being able to read the situation and try and play it into your hand is one of those things. And sometimes it doesn't work, and sometimes it does.
And winding it back to race one, when you were, in that pack, obviously the run from turn one all the way up the hill, then the long run to the carousel. I mean, you found yourself trying to time some runs there. What did you learn about when to move, when it's safe to go 4 wide? I mean, that was pretty wild stuff from onboard. I'm sure it was wild from offboard. What are you doing when you're one driver in 10 and the draft is worth 15, 20 kilometers an hour?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because you're all bunched up so much. So you're kind of trying to help yourself, but everybody behind you is also trying to do the same thing. So you're kind of trying to look where the gaps are opening up and all that sort of stuff to put yourself in a good position. And from what I could gather, the outside was actually really, really good through the carousel. So trying to set yourself up for being on the outside through there to get the inside for the next corner was actually quite good. And then obviously my move of trying to do that and then running a little bit deep kind of didn't help, but it kind of did with the ability to get the draft back and then try and go around the outside, which kind of ended in tears. But oh well, that happens.
Well, going to say congratulations to you once again, grabbing that second race win there, and presumably we're going to see you again for the remaining races of season 2, and you'll have some people to thank.
Yeah, certainly going to be here for the entire season, but just going to give a shout out to Kiwi Simulators, the new kid on the block in New Zealand for sim gear. So if anybody needs any sort of gear, hit us up. Hyper Stimulator as well. You guys for putting on an awesome broadcast, I for putting on an awesome series, and everybody for the good racing.
I think that just about does it, Ryan.
It does. Thank you for joining us once again, Cam. And that will bring us to the end of our broadcast here on Simspeed TV for round 2 of the Ozicar Skip Barber Series. Next week, I believe we head to Charlotte Roval. That should be an interesting battle, a completely different battle to what we've seen tonight. Make sure you tune in at the same time next Wednesday night right here. Make sure you head over to Ozicar on Facebook and hit like. And yes, it'll be Thursday, not Wednesday. Wednesday will be TCRs if you want to see some of that. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube as well. But from us, we say thank you for joining in. From myself, Ryan Jones, David Haynes alongside me, and Jake Kennedy behind the scenes. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He's going the outside of both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up to him.
Oh my God. Oh, big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys I want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go.
Oh no.
That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?